Hi, I'm Whitney March, and this week I'm going to learn how to walk the dog. But not this kind of dog. What I'm talking about is a lot more fun. And not nearly as messy. So stay tuned to learn how to walk the dog and catch fish at the same time. Hi, Captain Rennie.
Whitney.
Hi, Whitney March here of School of Saltwater Fishing. How you doing?
I'm good.
All right.
Ready to catch some fish?
Absolutely. Tell me the plan for today.
Well, we're gonna get some on top water if the Lord willing, and hopefully get some good action here in North Carolina.
All right. What kind of fish are we fishing for?
Redfish.
All right. I'm ready to go. And where are we again?
We're at Topsail Beach.
Okay. Very nice. North
Right.
Carolina. I like
Yeah.
it. It's nice and warm. Got a beautiful day. It's nice and still. I'm ready to catch some fish.
Yep. Well, let's go get on them.
All right. Let's do it.
All right.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Let's do this.
At least it's really still today.
Yeah, it's beautiful out here today. I think the wind's supposed to shift around to the west today. So
Is that good or bad?
That's good.
Awesome.
It's good. It's blowing out of the southwest right now, and it's supposed to turn west, and then it'll be totally slick and short here. That's what we always look for, is northwest.
Sweet.
So hopefully we'll go get on them today and put a hurting on these redfish.
I'm ready. Now, do you eat redfish?
I don't eat them. You can eat them.
Uh-huh.
They taste a little silty here because we'll be fishing in mud and usually in 12 to 18 inches of water. So they're not as good as some of the ocean fish like you catch in the Pamlico or Chesapeake or even on the beach. But some people still eat them. You have to blacken the mess out of them for me to eat them.
Oh, yeah?
'Cause I like grouper and mahi and stuff like that.
Yeah.
These are real silty fish, even as compared to speckled trout and flounder.
Really?
So,
That's all right. We'll catch them anyways. We don't gotta eat them. We'll let them go.
yeah. Well, you can keep a couple if you want, but I wouldn't recommend eating these suckers.
Gotcha. And I'm not such a good cook, so that wouldn't be a good idea anyways.
What's up with that?
I don't know, but I was not born with the cooking thumb.
I hear you. All right, Whitney, what we're going to be doing today is throwing some topwater plugs for redfish, like we talked about, and the lures we're going to use are mainly going to be small skitter walks. These fish are feeding on small mullet minnows, menhaden, also known as pogie or bunker, and they're also feeding on shrimp. But this topwater bait really triggers a bite. It's got a kind of a low pitch rattle.
Hey, all right.
So when you walk it, you'll hear it click, 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 click. And what I've done to these lures is actually modified them. This is a freshwater lure. Actually, Rapala calls it a saltwater version of this smaller skitter walk. And what I've done is I've actually replaced the split rings, the round things that hold the hooks on, and with 50-pound split rings. It came with 20-pound ones, but I've had redfish pull these off the entire hook. So it's actually cost me some fish in tournaments. Don't know if it would have made a difference, but I would like to think so. So I've replaced not only the split rings with 50-pound split rings, but also 4x strength hooks, which is what this front hook is. And then on the back hook, I have a 4x strength hook, number 4 on this smaller bait with a Sure Set. It's made by VMC hook, and this bigger hook actually is real good at hooking the fish up, especially when you're speckled trout fishing, because a lot of times I'll just slap at it and that little bit of that hook hanging down, and also the way this bait sits in the water, this back hook being a little bit bigger actually causes the bait to drop down into the water a little bit and sit with the butt kind of dragging, and it's easier for a redfish to scoop this bait up than it is for like a level flotation bigger plug. And I'll show you in the water what I'm talking about.
All right.
This bait actually floats with the tail down, and it's easier for the redfish to scoop the bait up in the water because they're not really known for, you know, crashing. You know, they do crash bait on top, but they're more of a crustacean feeder on crabs and shrimp.
Okay.
This bait actually, if we were using a level flotation, a bait that actually floated like this on top of the water, kind of parallel to the top of the water, it's harder for a redfish to suck the bait down because they are a bottom feeder. They like, you know, crustaceans, and they tail on crabs. When they're tailing and people see them in the grass, it's on crabs, it's not minnows.
Okay.
Crabs and shrimp. So this bait actually dips down a little bit, so the underbite that a redfish does have can actually come up and suck the bait down instead of having to come up and come over the bait like you do on a level flotation bait.
All right.
So that's why we're using these smaller ones. It's just better for hookup ratio. And I do have some larger baits that I've put lead on the back of the bait. And I put lead tape on the very top and try to center it so it'll walk right. But we are going to use some bigger plugs that I have put some lead tape on so the bait actually does dip down, and it's easier for the redfish to suck the bait down.
Ah, it works with the anatomy of that fish because of that mouth. Ah, that's really smart.
All right, first thing you want to do is try to hit the points as we're fishing. So I'm going to throw it to this little point over here on this grass, and then I'm going to work the bait back and show you how to walk the dog. That's what it's called, walking the dog.
All right. Sweet.
All right. All right, we've thrown the bait out, and now I'm going to show you how to walk it back. And what you want to do is when you throw it out is let it sit for a second before you start retrieving it. And that way the shimmer from the entry of that bait on the water actually disappears, so it doesn't look like something that's not natural. So now we'll start working the bait back, and you want to keep the rod tip a little low, and it's just a wrist action. You just twitch it. So I'm going to start doing that, and you just want it to walk back and forth real slow.
Hey, look at that.
All right, Whitney, you want to try it?
I'll give it a go.
All right, she's all yours.
So you got to get a rhythm going on here.
That's right. Just slow your reel down just a little bit. There you go.
I see this is going to take some practice.
And then use your wrist to twitch the bait. Just like that, you're doing it perfect. Because if it doesn't have any loop in the line or any kind of slack, the bait won't walk. It'll just go in a straight line, and the fish is really not going to hit it if it's going in a straight line. You want it to kind of move back and forth and look like a wounded minnow on top.
Man, you did that a lot easier than I did. Okay, all right, I'm going to get this. I'm concentrating really hard right now.
Just relax, you're doing it fine. And it doesn't have to be perfect. What you kind of want to do is see that wind is kind of blowing from behind us. Once we get in position, the bait's going to be kind of straight in front of us, so it'll be easier. And what I'll have you do is come on this side so you won't have a bow in your line, and you can keep the pressure on it and also keep a little bit of a loop. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Straight out. Kind of a little bit of a wind bow, and just take the rod and just, I mean, I barely have any pressure on this, and I'm just barely moving my wrist here, and just, I'm constantly reeling, but real slow. See?
You make that look so easy.
You'll get it. But see, there's no wasted motion, because if you're using any extra motion on your wrist, you're gonna wear yourself out in like 30 minutes.
All right, well, you put this controller on me earlier. Can you show me how it works?
I like to put those on all females that come on my boat so I can, no.
Yeah, oh yeah?
Because y'all have a good job of controlling us.
I got you. You have to have something remote controlled.
Yeah, because, you know, I don't have the skills to, you know, control a female otherwise.
I see.
No, actually what it is a remote for the trolling motor.
Okay.
And actually it's totally wireless. We can't hand steer this motor. We can't use a foot control like a conventional trolling motor. We have to use a remote. And you can program as many remotes as you want for the motor, and usually if it's like 2 of us on the boat, we'll have 2 remotes. If there's 3, I'll give a 3rd remote to somebody else on the boat. And what it does is gives us all a chance to control the boat without the other one stopping the fish. you know, to control the boat and keep us off the fish. So really we've got, you know, 5 buttons in the middle. The middle button is actually the power button, and then you've got right and left on these 2 arrows, and then the plus and minus is the speed. Obviously minus means slower and plus means faster, and then the 2 top buttons are really key because this end button here is the autopilot. If we want to work a shoreline and stay in a straight line and keep fishing without touching the trolling motor at all, we just hit this end key and it'll keep us on track. And all you have to do to take it off of the autopilot is just hit it again. And this rabbit button, well, it's actually thrown some people off of my boat before by accident. When you hit it on your side, or somebody's playing with a fish, you know, and hit something, and then the motor will go crazy because this is wide open. The rabbit is just what it sounds like. It's wide open on the trolling motor.
Now, why would you need that on a dime if you're like, oh, gotta go, hit the rabbit, we're out of here?
Good question. If you're fishing heavy current and you're about to go into a dock, to save the cowling on the motor, a lot of times you'll hit that rabbit button if you're drifting too close and you're not paying attention, and it'll just take you off of there real quick. Because in heavy current, wide open, it's really fast when we're fishing flats like we are today with no current and, you know, 12 to 18 inches of water. But when you get 6 to 8 foot of water with a heavy current and wind, it's not that fast.
It'll take you.
Yeah.
Gotcha. You're actually gonna let me drive the boat?
I know it sounds scary, but I trust you.
Blind trust. I love it. Awesome.
I'm sure you'll do fine.
I have a play toy.
Alright.
Press the button. No. That needs to be a red button right there. They don't need to make it the same color.
That's perfect. Once we get into the fish, they're going to eat that presentation up. It really doesn't have to be moving for them to hit it, whether or not.
I'm doing it! Hooray! I have my doubts. I'm not gonna lie.
I tell you what, if it comes in a fishing package, it can't be too complicated.
You would think so.
Us fishermen are
However,
not too complicated. There you go. That's a good cast. Right there on the point. Let you just work it. Raise your rod tip right quick.
see it that far away.
Right. Just work it. Sometimes it's better when you don't see it.
All right, so we're casting right up to the bank. Normally, if, oh, sorry. He jumped. All right, let me try that again. Okay, so we're casting right up to the bank. If we were standing on the bank, we'd be casting away from the bank. So why do we want to cast right up to where all the grass is?
That's a good question. And I've been in the same boat growing up, you know, fishing ponds, lakes, and even the waterway. We stand on the bank and cast out as far as we can. What we're doing today, though, is we're targeting redfish with artificial lures, and the redfish sit right up against the bank and feed on the grass. And that's where the shrimp and the bait has to come out once the water falls. We're on a higher tide right now, a higher water level, and as soon as the water starts falling out of here, these fish will start feeding. And so the optimal spot is on the points of these little feeder creeks that we're fishing right up against the edge. So the closer we get to the edge, the better chance we do have of catching these fish, because they're 10 foot or less off the bank. Some of them are sitting right on the bank.
Okay.
But I think it's all in what you target. A lot of people, like in saltwater, are targeting bluefish or flounder, fish that are in deeper water, croaker and spots and that sort of thing, and they're fishing on bottom, whereas we're fishing with top water baits today, and we'll use some subsurface lures. So we have to be really, really skinny to have a chance to even catch these fish, because the deeper the water is, the more volume it is, the harder it is for that fish to see the bait.
Gotcha.
So that's why we're casting to the bank today.
Okay.
Good question. See, they'll hit it sitting dead still. That's what I was telling you earlier. It doesn't even have to be moving for them to hit it. If you rod tip to the sky.
Oh, yeah. Woo! I got one! Ah! Come here, come here!
Yeah, just relax.
Okay.
Keep that rod
Okay.
tip high. You won't get off.
All right.
Tension on it.
Yeah!
Good job. Excellent.
Yeah. I got you, I got you. Oh, sorry, Mr. Fish, but I caught you. Ooh, hey, Pat. Oh, it's a flat ball.
Oh, leave it in the water. That's all right. Leave it in the water.
Oh, we're in
Bring
the
your
water,
tenor.
okay.
Yeah. Bring your, just swing and tenor. Good line. Yeah. Sorry. Get that rod tip up.
Open mouth.
Your mouth is kind of hooked a little weird, so I'm just gonna grab it quick. Treble hooks are great.
Yeah.
All right.
Sweet.
That's a good topwater redfish. Good job.
Yeah.
A little
Woohoo.
slime on you there.
Oh,
Good
man.
stuff.
All right.
Good fish.
Number one. One of many for
Topwater.
today. My first tap water. All right. Oh! You stop that. Awesome. I managed to catch my first topwater red while walking the dog, only after a few minutes. What a blast seeing that fish crash a topwater lure. We made a few more casts, then Rennie decided we should move to a different location because the water was getting a little too high. We headed for a spot where Rennie said the water would be a little skinnier and to where there'd be a few more fish.
Whitney, what we're gonna do is look at, we're gonna hit this point ahead of us. There's a little small grass island, and it usually holds bait fish and shrimp. And these fish are usually gonna be between, there's two little PVC pipes between the point of the mainland and this little island. And those fish are gonna be somewhere between those 2 points.
All right.
So
It's not a very big point. I'm sure we can find a fish or two in there.
I'm sure with your skill and
Skill.
lady luck,
We'll go with that one.
yeah, you'll be able to pop a couple more of these fish on topwater.
All right. I like how these make noise.
Yes.
They make music.
You know what? That's smart of you because everybody else always asks, "What's that? What's that sound?"
I think it's
picked up
cool,
right
and they're all
away.
different octaves and pitches, and
That's true.
yeah,
That wind starts blowing, it starts.
it starts singing.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so same thing.
Yes, ma'am.
Shoot for the banks.
That's right.
Catch
and actually,
fish?
Yeah, between this little island here and these stakes, there should be some fish either stacked up on the inside of this island, around this pole here. This is all a big oyster bar out here, and the fish will hang on this bank as well. So we're just going to make, a fan cast pattern and just find out where they're at. And as soon as we figure out where they're at, we should be able to
Hook them up.
hook up 2 or 3 of them.
All right.
All right. Get one over there. It's all right. Just work through it. There could be some on that flat. They just kind of, there's a little pot of them. They just swim around in a circle around that oyster bar right there. Feed.
Yeah,
Excellent. Good technique.
Ah. That's what I wanted.
Man, that fish crashing.
Yeah, I did. I saw it. I was hungry. Yeah. Oh, oh, oh.
Popped it on the pole. How about that?
Chill it out.
That's a little bit better fish.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I think it's a little bit bigger than the last one. Number 2. Yeah, you got 2 spots. Ah!
Awesome. It's a good fish. Let me measure him up. I'd say he's about 19 inches. What do you think? 18,
I have no
19?
concept.
Maybe just 18. He's 19.
Sweet.
Good fish. How about that?
It crashed right up onto the topwater bait. That was awesome. This is really fun fishing. I really like it. Man, you said that they'd be here. 2 casts and I already had a bite. I love it. Nostradamus. It's got that ESP. Oh, get him? Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. Come on in here, fish. Why does he sound bigger than mine?
It was kind of a no-no. I made a cast because I knew the fish were where I casted, but I knew it was going to be a mess if the fish got near the pole because there's barnacles on this pole. And once they get around it, it's you have to flip the bell and just go get the fish on the other side and hope that he doesn't wrap around that pole.
And keep on wrapping.
Exactly. So, and he might have done that because he's real. No, he's out there. We're gonna get this fish.
Yes.
And see, we're on the other side of the pole now. And I'm gonna get far enough away over here so I can. There he is.
Yeah.
Yep, there he is.
Come on around.
That is a good fish.
All right. Well, do you need me to steer the boat while you?
I'll tell you what. Yeah, go a little right.
Hey, I saw him.
Yep, but he's getting near that pole again. Let me get to the pole.
Show me how it's done. Come on. I see him. He's right there.
Yep. There he is.
Are you free from the pole now?
Yeah, I am.
Oh, man.
Hit the power pole down button.
You go all the way down?
Uh-huh. There you go. Thank you.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
A little teamwork there. I like that.
Sweet.
Look at that.
Huh.
Foul hook.
Sorry, dude.
That's
We'll
why
come
it
get
felt
ya.
so big.
Yeah.
There he is. A lot of fight for that little fish.
That's-
Yeah, he's going to have a sore belly for a few days. But
That's all right.
pretty little fish.
Yeah.
Not as big as yours, Whitney. What's up with that?
Felt bigger though, huh?
Yeah, he did. Felt a lot bigger than that.
Hey, dude. Oh, you all right?
It's fine.
No
Little
problem.
17 incher right there. 17, 18 inches.
Huh?
Let's get him back in the water. And he tried his best to get off.
You did.
Crafty little
Whoa.
sucker. How about Mr. Redfish?
I got off to a fast start with 2 fish, and Rennie had none. But as soon as I was starting to think I was special, he caught 4 in a row to my none in a row. He was up 4-2. But that's okay. We were having a great time. I think maybe I'm a little too competitive.